Why are we so addicted to true crime? Seriously.
That's true.
Can't get enough of it. Dark Poutine is the famous Canadian podcast that averages 500,000 listeners per month, detailing crimes in Canada, dark history, and other creepy topics as told by Canadians. Host Mike Browne joins us this morning to tell us about his new book, Murder, Madness, and Mayhem, and to share why he thinks the world is fascinated with true crime. Mike, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. I'm
Mike,
so glad to be here.
Congrats on the podcast. It's hugely popular. Congrats on the book. You just launched this last week, November 2nd. I got to ask you first things first about the name, Dark Poutine. My theory is you named it that. Sid said it's a great name. You'll never forget it. True.
It's true.
Also, is it something to do with its dark subject matter, but it's something that once you start, you can't stop, like poutine? Huh?
Yes, that is actually pretty close to the right answer.
Oh, pretty close.
And because most of our stories are Canadian and have a Canadian flavor, I wanted to have the most Canadian thing that I could think of. So it was Dark Poutine.
Nice.
There you go. You got 85% of the way there, D.
Why is there such an appetite for Dark Poutine?
Deliciously intriguing. Mike, oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's the reason, sort of the way I described it to somebody else is the fries are the heavy part of the story, and the gravy really sort of lays it on thick. But my co-host and I do a little bit of fun on either end, which is the cheese.
There you go. I know what that's about.
The card is the word.
Yes. Mike, let's talk about you and this subject matter specifically. How did you get so, I don't know if wrapped up's the right way to describe it, but you have immersed yourself in this topic for a while now. Where did the fascination begin?
Well, at home where I grew up in Nova Scotia, my grandmother was a fan of the Nova Scotian journalist Max Haynes, and he wrote true crime stories in the newspaper every week. And so I read some articles at her home and began looking forward to the new ones as they came out. And around the same time, when I was almost 12, a man assaulted and attempted to abduct me.
Oh my God.
Shortly after that, serial killer Clifford Olson was arrested in BC, and his victims were around my age. So having gone through what I did, I became hooked on learning about crime and criminals, and have been ever since. I even considered becoming an RCMP officer at one point, but thanks to what I'd been through, I had a lot of personal things to deal with, so that never materialized.
That's terrifying, Mike. I guess it's one of those things where you either take your experience and it makes you never want to look at it again, or in a way, it's almost empowering and protects you if you feel more aware. It's like a fascination, maybe to help people feel prepared?
Sure. It took me a long time to get to that place, but doing the show has actually helped me in a lot of ways. And I told my own story in episode 10 of the show, and I've gotten so much great feedback that now I've done twice 2 seminars for Edmonton police officers who are attending sexual assault seminars, and I tell my story there.
Mike, in terms of the content in the book, Murder, Madness, and Mayhem, I mean, I'm fascinated by the notion that you have a podcast that's this popular, yet you felt you had other material where you could kind of put together and put it out there for people. Like, how did you decide, like, what goes in the pod and what goes in the book?
Well, it was kind of easy because the stories that I do on the podcast have the mostly Canadian flavor. So there's a few of those in the book, but I do what's called away games, which are stories that aren't related to Canada. So I will tag them in the podcast as away games. So most of these are away games that I would have gotten to eventually on the show.
Mike, where do we hear more? Where do we read more? Where do we go? Because we could talk to you all day, but we have run out of time. So where do we listen?
You can hear us anywhere that you find your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere like that. And I also do a new podcast called Supernatural Circumstances with my friend Morgan, who's a paranormal researcher. So you want to check that out? Yeah, I'm a busy guy.
Mike, what do you do for fun, man? Oh my gosh, it's like murder, mayhem, supernatural.
Well, I watch Little House on the Prairie.
Ah,
That's
Laura
my
Ingalls.
release too.
Nice.
We have similar releases. One of the most popular podcasts around. A new book, another pod coming. Mike, you figured it out. Congratulations
Thanks.
on all the success, and let's touch base again. Have a good day. Thank